Blessings up, blessings up. Welcome to Just Being Candid. I'm your host, Candid. And yes, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Yes, I'm back. I've been a little inconsistent with the show, but life was lifing. And I'm going to get into what life was doing to me. But first, I want to start the show with my verse of the day. And it'll be coming from Romans chapter 4, verse 20. And it's coming from the NLT version. It says, Abraham never wavered in believing God's promise. In fact, his faith grew stronger, and in this brought glory to God. Now, to give you some backstory with Abraham, God made a promise to him, but he had to sacrifice some things, and he had to leave his nation and go to a different one and start over and rebuild. If you have a Bible, ChatGPT story Abraham, it'll let you know. But the reason why I picked this verse is because I wanted to focus on enduring hardship. And this is actually going to explain why I haven't been doing the podcast. So basically, I got laid off at the top of the year. I never would have imagined 2025, the very beginning was, we got to let you go. Now, did I see it coming? I did. And I did as much as I could to prepare for the day. But I will say, there is no preparation for the feeling that you get when you're officially told you're going to be laid off. And you think about all types of things, what you should have done, what you shouldn't have done. And you start to honestly, for me, I started stressing myself out. And at the end of the day, I always have to calm myself down and remember what my sister always told me was, don't stress what you can't control. And I can't control someone saying that we can no longer afford you to work here. And like I said, I saw this coming because with the new administration, I worked in a organization that focused on diversity, specifically for girls in STEM that come from marginalized backgrounds. But also focus on girls in STEM in general. And I ran the youth advisory board and also did the coordination and program coordination for this organization. It was a great experience. I learned a lot working with this company. I built a lot of relationships. And at the end of the day, with my faith, it was just God saying, He's closing this door to prepare me to walk through the new one that He has opened up for me. But the door didn't open right away. That new door, I think there was this IG post, new door me, please, God. That new door, I don't know where it was. I was looking for it. I had a flashlight in the middle of the day. Like, God, where's the door? Where is the promise? Because I have this vision for my life that I hope is aligned for the vision that you have for me. But man, being unemployed, not getting unemployment. So I had to rely solely on my savings. It got to the point where I had to sell all of my stocks. And I'm very thankful that I started investing in stocks years ago. So that was able to help me afloat. But then last month in March, it got really hard where I had to rely on family to help me out financially just to keep me afloat with certain things. But to go back to Romans when it came to how Abraham, let me find, I don't know why I closed it, where it says, Abraham never wavered in believing in God's promise. And I connected with that because even though I was angry, even though I was disappointed, I never wavered in my belief in God, my faith in God. I knew that in order to get to the promise, it's not going to always be peaches and cream. Pastor Torrey had a sermon at the Potter's house. I can't think of the name of it right now, but in that sermon, he said, you have to endure the hardships. And enduring the hardships means it's not going to last forever, but you have to sit tight in the painful part. And I saw a conversation with Wall Street Trapper and Pastor Don Johnson, where Pastor Don Johnson was saying, like, in the midst of enduring hardships, sometimes you don't need to be saved. Like when someone's like, oh, I'll save you, sometimes you have to just go through that process because it's going to build your character even more. And it did. And it was tough, sending resume after resume, cover letter after cover letter, looking for jobs, people sending you job descriptions that don't match what you do. And it was like, oh, just take anything for now. And, between January and March, I really had to just lock in and focus, and I do fast a lot, but I really had to do a more purposeful, meaningful fast and being more intentional and not just about clarity, but about direction. And then I started understanding where I want this next chapter to be in. So I started applying for roles like that. But at the same time, I also started getting back into just being candid. I love podcasting. Just brief history. I've been doing this back in 2012, 2015, where I would have my own online radio show. I was paying like $175 a month to this radio station where you could have your own show. And I was doing it live monthly. And then when that station moved, I would go to a recording studio. I would record my episodes and put them out. But I wasn't consistent. But now that I had this time to prepare and understand and actually say, where do I want to take Just Being Candid? Not just for me, but for the audience, for the people who's going to start tuning in weekly. And how do I want to maximize this opportunity, but also making sure that I'm giving quality and useful information. So that's what I did. And so now I'm here. I have a brand new platform as far as how to record. I learned more about the equipment. I'm getting back to how things were for me. So that's why I had the hiatus. It was, just being laid off and going through the motions of it. And as I record more episodes, at some point I will, share the emotions. But I was definitely in a, not a state of shock, but in a state of like, damn, this is crazy, But I learned how to tighten up better financially. My faith got even stronger, just like Abraham. Like I knew, like God is doing this for a reason. I can't sit there and blame the enemy like, oh, the devil, this. No, like life happens. And I've been through this before when I got, I quit my job way back when, 2015, to start a business. The business failed. I became homeless, et cetera, et cetera. Thank God it's not to that point. I'm chilling in my crib, beautiful view. I got food. I'm good. I know it could be worse, and I'm glad it's not worse. And I'm very thankful for God pulling for me, and also have a new role at a new organization, and it's actually more into what I want to do, which is working with youth directly and making more of a positive impact, more of a social change. Because I worked with youth in the past, but it was more indirectly doing a virtual youth advisory board. I would speak at different organizations, but that would be more of a one-off. So now I get to do more day-to-day things, which is great. So what's up with me? That was my candid moment. That was me sharing what was going on. But now In the meantime, as I was laid off, I did some things. I read some books. I watched some documentaries. So I want to share that today. So today, first things first, I would like to talk about a book I read, and it's called The Psychology of Money. I want to pull up the actual image so you all can see it. Here we go. So The Psychology of Money, as you can see, let me just change up my shot. This book right here is a must. The Psychology of Money, Timeless Lessons on Wealth, Greed, and Happiness. I give this book, if it's a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give it like an 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10. It was very informative. And I wanted to talk about some of my favorite chapters that I looked into. So let me just grab my book real quick. Hold on. Let me grab my book. I actually have my book. I'm back. I have my book right here. I have the hard copy, but I just wanted to put on the screen so you can all see it. It's called The Psychology of Money if you're ever interested in getting that book. So some of my favorite chapters, and I'm going to go with chapter 3. It's called Never Enough. And in particular, he mentions 4 points about why is never enough. So basically, point number 1, the hardest financial skills is getting the goalpost to stop moving. And I highlighted this. It says it gets dangerous when the taste of having more money, more power, more prestige increases ambition faster than satisfaction. In that case, 1 step forward pushes the goalpost 2 steps ahead. You feel as if you're falling behind, and the only way to catch up is to take greater and greater amount of risk. So it's saying at some point, so the chapter's called Never Enough. So at some point, the more successful you get, yes, the more you push the goal point. But at some point, when are you satisfied? And I know people are like, oh, I'm never satisfied. I need more. But do you need more? Because as he mentions, like the more that you want, it is going to take greater risks. And yes, the greater the risk, the higher the reward. But sometimes the greater the risk, the greater of lack of reward. The second point in this book, this is on page 41 if you get the book. Social comparison is the problem. One point here is the point is that the ceiling of social comparison is so high that virtually no one will ever hit it, which means it's a battle that can never be won. Or that the only way to win is to fight to begin with, to accept that you might have enough, even if it's less than those around you. So we do so much comparison, and social media does play a big part of it. But we see people with more, but we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. You see somebody with a Benz, a Lambo, whatever it is that you see, it could be rented. They could have charged it and they could be in credit card debt, but you want to like keep up with them. Third point, enough is not too little. The fourth point, there are many things never worth risking, no matter the potential gain. I really love this one. So basically it talks about like, you don't want to risk your freedom. You don't want to risk your family. You don't want to risk your reputation. Like those are things that are invaluable, but some people are okay with risking those things. Let me run back. So the psychology of money really focus on your relationship with money and how it stems from the way each individual thinks. Like my financial decisions is based on how I was raised, the experiences that I've been through, the new information that I have received. So I make financial decisions based off many components in my life versus someone who does the same thing. We all do it. We just have different experiences. So what makes sense to me on a purchase may not make sense to the other because of our different psychology of how we feel about money. So my second favorite chapter is chapter 9. It's called The Wealth That You Don't See. And I just wanted to like pull out just one thing that I loved about this here. It says, it's page 99. Exercise is like being rich. You think, I did the work and now deserve to treat myself to a big meal. Been there. Wealth is turning down that treat meal and actually burning in net calories. It's hard and requires control, but it creates a gap between what you could do and what you choose to do that occurs to you over time. So in simplest form, wealth is about discipline. Are you disciplined to do the work and stay steady at it and not get caught in the in-betweens? And I love the exercise analogy in this book because I'm big on my physical fitness. I've been back in the gym and working out, eating healthy for now a year and a half. I lost 15 pounds already. I have a trainer. All that stuff. But I do understand why my weight is slowly decreasing because I'll do a great workout. I'll eat well for the rest of the week. And then on certain days, I'm like, it's an indulgence day. Today, I'm going to have wings, fries, a cupcake, whatever. So I definitely understand that analogy that if I was to just remove my sweet tooth and the let me treat myself moments, I'll lose more weight faster. But also when it comes to finances, when people get their paychecks and you work hard, you do 40-hour jobs a week, et cetera, you get your paycheck. And for some people, instead of saying, oh, let me put this in my savings, it's like, well, let me treat myself. And it's like, how many times can you treat yourself? Why don't you take the money for your treat and put it somewhere where it's gaining compound interest? But to each his own, because like I said in the beginning, some people's financial decisions make sense to them in the moment versus someone else because of the knowledge that we obtain. And my last favorite chapter is Altogether. And honestly, this chapter is pretty much just summing up all the chapters one by one. But I did have some points here in this book. One is called Use Money to Gain Control Over Your Time. Because not having control of your time is such a powerful and universal drag on happiness. The ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, for as long as you want, pays the highest dividend that exists in finances. That is absolutely true. I'm no millionaire. I'm not even 100,000-aire. But I'm learning that the more I delegate time to my business, to the podcast, to just the different things that I have aligned outside of my career, I am creating the lifestyle that I want. And I want to continue to create that lifestyle. And time is everything. We give so much time to employers. We don't give time to what we want to do with our own self and how we can create that wealth. And wealth doesn't always mean starting a business. You can create wealth through stocks. You can create wealth through a career. I've read articles and I know people, well, one person who has become a millionaire straight off 9 to 5 because he knew how to invest his money properly. He also knew how to work the market, take that money, get properties, rent it out. And this person has no business at all. No, just has a career and makes good money in his respective career as well. And then worship the room for error. It says here a gap between what could happen in the future and what you need to happen in the future in order to do well is what gives you endurance. Keyword endurance. And endurance is what makes compounding magic over time. Yes, endurance is key. Once you build the endurance and you equate that there could be error, you'll be better off set. So it's not thinking about what can go wrong right now, it's what can go wrong in the future. And that's something that I didn't really do. When I read this book, I was like, yeah, I never thought about what if I got laid off. I didn't think about getting laid off until October of last year because I saw the different signs that were happening. And that's when I started like applying for jobs, switching up my budget, just doing different things. But, between October and January when I got laid off, there's but so much you can do. And I wish that I would have just thought about getting laid off earlier, and that's something I think about now. Like now that I have a new role and now I'm building my brand, I am planning, yes, okay, yes, I have this new role. I make this amount of money a year, et cetera, my benefits. But now it's like, okay, but let's still plan for the inevitable. So that's something that I thought about, I loosely planned for, but I never made like a solid plan on if ish hit the fan. So if you want to understand your relationship with money, if you want to get better idea of how people think about money, this is a great book right here. The Psychology of Money. I'll put it back on the screen too. The Psychology of Money is a really great book to read. You could listen to it to an audio. I'm on and off of like certain books I can read physical and other books I can listen to. But it's a really great book just to get a perspective of how you should start thinking about money and compounding and savings. Like another chapter really quick was about like save just to save. Like people want to save for like a particular thing, like, oh, let me save for the trip, let me save for college tuition, and let me save. But sometimes you just save just to save, like just because. And that's something that I'm gonna do. Yes, you have your emergency fund, but you just have money just cause. But it's a really great book that I do recommend. If you do read it, let me know what you think. Put it in the comments like, Candid, I read the book, I really loved it. Or Candid, I read the book, I don't know what you're talking about, wasn't really feeling it. But whatever it is, your opinion about the book, let me know. So we can have a little conversation, a little back and forth about it, positive or negative. There's nothing like a good conversation about something that we are reading, not gossiping about, but we are reading. So, like I said, so I read some books throughout the year. So that was one of them. But I also watched documentaries. Let me tell you something. I watched this documentary over the weekend. It's called excuse me. It's called Breaking the Bank, One Trader, 50 billion euros. And let me I don't even know what to say about this one right here. This was a really good documentary. I want to show you. I'm gonna just pull up the picture of it really quickly so you all know what it looks like. Here it is. Breaking the Bank. One trader, one trader, 50 billion euros. So this right here is on HBO Max. Oh my goodness. Like, I don't even know what to say about this. It was really good. So it is a 4-part docuseries on HBO Max, 45 minutes each. Now, I watched it all in one day because it was a hair wash day. I washed my hair, blow dried it, all that stuff, and I had to retwist my hair. So I had time, and it was a time that was had watching this documentary. Now, pretty much his name is Jeremy Covell. I could be saying it wrong. He's he wasn't even a trader, honestly. He was like he went from intern and then he was like in a data program and eventually he became a trader, but he was making really good trades to the point where he was getting a great return on his trades. And the people in the company started noticing, like, oh, Jeremy's doing like really good, you know. So now it went from who is Jeremy to Jeremy the man, because he's making the executives money. So pretty much how it works, when he brokers these trades and makes all this money off of it, he has a base salary. So let's say his salary is $60,000, right? Now let's say he made the company $6 million, right? They can give him a bonus, but they're like, hey, here's a bonus of $40,000 out of the $6 million that you made us. So I don't want to give away the movie, but if you're gonna watch it, I might have some spoilers in here. So he pretty much was looking at the housing boom. I think it was called subprime mortgages. Yeah, it was called subprime mortgages, and he was seeing how it was affecting the the stock out in France. He was seeing what was going on in America and how it was going to affect France. So he started hiding money within the bank so that way the bank can be balanced when it came to their trades, because they're a broker's company as well. So he hit the $50 billion, 50 billion euros, right? 50 billion euros, right? He hit it, and then ish hit the fan. The bank found out, but the bank also knew he was doing this. So here's the catch. They knew he was doing this, but it was getting too real out there where they had to tell the public, like, hey, we was being frauded. We had some fraud going on. We don't know what's going on, but they asked the France government to help them. Just like out here, how our government saved the banks back in the recession, all that stuff. They was asking for like, hey, we need help. So they blamed everything on him. When I say this man was like, look, this man, Jeremy, he's like, y'all want to blame this on me? I'm not the one or the two. All right. Y'all want to blame this on me? We going to court. He lost his, oh man, I really don't want to give it up, but he went to court. He lost the first time. He said, I'm appealing. I'm appealing. Fired some lawyers, fired the PR team. Like he was doing a lot. Like he met the Pope. He went on a walking fast where he went from wherever it was to walk back to Paris and fight. It was pretty much the little guy fighting corporate America. And I'll tell you this, when he lost the first time, they ordered him to pay the $50 billion back. Excuse me? Where is this imaginary money coming from? I felt him. Like in the beginning, the first episode, or maybe the first episodes, I was like, yo, this man's tripping. He tripping. And it goes back to psychology. It goes back to this book. The psychology of money, how people think, because he was willing to risk it all, his reputation, his career, because he was becoming greedy. He was becoming greedy. And he thought he was invincible. And then he realized, oh snap, the market is about to drop. And I need to hide this money so that way the bank seems like it's still stable when it wasn't. And you playing with other people's money at that, which is crazy. But anyway, I don't want to tell you the end of the book. I mean, the end of the docuseries. But if you have time over the weekend, whatever weekend, and you're into just a really good documentary based off a true story, clearly documentary, or you're into finances, this right here, let me pull it back up there. Breaking the Bank, One Trade of 50 Billion, a must watch. A must watch. I mean, down to the last episode, I was like, what? I'm over here twisting my head. I'm like, what? What? Mm-mm. Mm-mm. It's a must watch. So if you have time, I highly recommend you all take a look at this documentary. So that's pretty much all I have. That's Just Being Candid. Thank you to everyone who has been a loyal follower, a loyal supporter. If you don't know, you can follow me on Instagram. It's at Just Be Candid. You see it right there scrolling at Just Be Candid. You can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on TikTok. Keep up with me. Show like my fitness. I show my different recipes when it comes to my juicing lifestyle, my eating clean. I share my faith base. I do something called Sunday Sermon Recap. So you can follow me in my stories to see the recap. Just different things. You want to get to know what Just Being Candid is. I'm not locked in one box. I just love life. I love enjoying life. I just want to say thank you again for everyone. And remember, stay blessed, stay prosperous, and stay candid. Be yourself. Blessings up.